Welcome to episode 3 of Learning Bytes with Marco. So, this time we're going to talk about you. That's right, your personal brand. One of the biggest misconceptions that people think when it comes to branding themselves is that they have to come up with something elaborate or extremely innovative. At the end of the day, if you're going to become an instructional designer, whether you're looking to be a contractor and do work for yourself, or you're going to do work in an organization where you're going to build a career, then you must have your own brand. It's called the you brand, yourself, right? And the best way of thinking of a brand is not coming up with some elaborate name, but rather using your own name to be the brand, right? So to make that happen, you have to think about what's your superpower. In an earlier episode, we talked about your own strengths that you can enhance and bring to life that would allow others to notice you and build up your own credibility and your own motivation to wanting to do this. So now is where you get to fine tune and figure out what that is. So there are a lot of self-help books out there, and I'm not saying that they're all bad. Some of them are really good. But I think the consensus here is that all you need to do is find who your closest group of friends and family members are that are going to give you good feedback, right? And by good feedback, meaning not just pat you on the back and say, hey, great job, Johnny. Good job, Susie. No, you want people that are going to give you actionable feedback that is going to be constructive, where they're going to let you know, yes, you are good at these things, or yes, you have potential for these things, but I'm noticing X, Y, Z, right? So my own personal story, I used to have, well, I still have a mentor who used to be my leader a few years ago. And I went to go do a presentation, and everybody thought I did a great job presenting. Heck, this presentation was in Spanish, and he didn't even speak Spanish. But I thought maybe he'd read into the audience and, figure out that I'm doing great, because he did show up to a couple of my trainings. And I did them in English and Spanish, but he liked to show up to the Spanish ones for some reason. I still don't know why he did that, so I got to ask him. And he observed me. People would applaud. They would give me, high fives, and people are walking away. And even my own peers would be like, Marco, that was pretty darn good. That was really good, man. Like you kicked butt. And then I would go to my mentor and I would be like, what do you think, man? How did it go? And he's like, and he's British accent, that was completely terrible. I'm like, what? And he's like, well, everybody else is patting you on the back, but I need to give you actionable feedback. And he told me that it was a lot about my inflections, my rate of speech. And even though it was a different language, he could tell that I was rushing through it. So he did go and hear me do one in English. And he said, like, yeah, I totally stand by my feedback. And what that did for me is that, yeah, it kind of deflated me a little bit because I was feeling really good about myself. But he was telling me that this is a strength. Like, being in front of people is something that really, he could tell, brings me to life. He can tell that others are very much engaged by what I was able to do. However, I could be doing it even better. And that's the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. The ones that see the greatness in you, but are not just going to pat you in the back. They're going to show you ways that you can enhance and really hone in on that superpower that you have. When it comes to instructional design, this is such a versatile role to be in, that there's so many things out there that could make you really good at this, right? And sometimes it comes from places and that you wouldn't even think would even be relevant to the job. I know somebody, for example, who is very near and dear to my heart, and she is probably one of the best instructional designers I've ever met, even though she's not one by title. And she won't admit it, because she'll come up to me and be like, oh, I can't make stuff look as pretty as I want to, or, oh, I really, really, really wish that I had your creativity. And every single time, she's proven herself wrong in my eyes, because I feel that her superpower, which is something that I've always lacked, is how organized she is and how she's able to dig for information and find gaps before most people are even able to notice them. It's almost like an investigative reporter in her, makes her the ideal project manager. But what she doesn't know is that that skill makes her a fantastic instructional designer because she's able to dig in and, again, find those gaps and then ultimately work with the right people to connect the dots and find solutions that are going to help learners be able to overcome those issues before they even become a problem in the first place. And that's her superpower. So over the years, we've been able to convince and help each other about a lot of things. We've had a lot of, moments where we've had those aha moments, realizations. And she's one that's picked up on it and said, you know what, Marco, you were right all along. I'm kind of a instructional designer in disguise and didn't even know it. And her whole brand is now focused around that. She completely has owned the fact that she is a person that is able to identify gaps. She's the gap identifier. She hasn't come up with a name yet, but inside of herself, that's how she presents herself, as somebody that can go out and find problems before they even happen and fixes them on the spot. And that's how she was able to create her personal brand. And she recently received a promotion, and I didn't even help her through it. It's something we came up with ourselves. And so for you, it's how do you find that thing about you? And what I'm going to leave you with is that you can get all the self-help books that you want. That's completely fine. I encourage you to do your own reading and research. Talk to the people that know you. Find those that are willing to give you that constructive feedback. And once you find that trend, that one thing that they all keep saying about you that they really love that could be even better, focus all of your attention on it and own it. Own it. Especially if it's something that nobody else is really bringing forward. It could be the most kind of the underdog skill or superpower ever. But to other people and to you, that might be the most unique power anybody's ever brought to the table. And that's what's going to make you special and set you apart as an instructional designer. So as you start working on your personal brand, think of your name as the brand. And the benefit and the advantage of that brand is that superpower that you bring to life. That's all I have for this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.